Welcome everyone to the Sunday rune and card reading. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to be using a really dynamic set of cards today, and we're also going to be guided in our readings by these three sets of crystals. We're going to be using carnelian. We have a carnelian heart and a piece of raw carnelian. We have selenite, a selenite stick, which is the crystal in its raw form, and a selenite heart, and also an amethyst point and a beautiful, very powerful little amethyst heart. Now, for those of you that are new to this wonderful YouTube community that we have here, wonderful friends, each month I give away a free private reading. I also give away a first signed edition of the Art of Manifestation Oracle cards. I think I'm also going to this month be giving away some raw crystals. I am actually going to be giving away a piece of raw carnelian, a selenite stick and an amethyst point. I felt very drawn to them today. Now, we are in a very powerful time astrologically. We've got, in just a few days' time, we've got a super full moon eclipse in Sagittarius. We are well into the Mercury retrograde shadow period now. So if you're finding that things are beginning to go astray or there's disruptions, just trust. You know, we are very much guided during the Mercury retrograde periods to actually slow down and to step away from our kind of goal-orientated, human-centric perspective of life. You know, we tend to formulate our goals, we work out how we're going to get there from A to B to C, and we try to stay on target. Mercury retrograde, when the energy comes in, yes, it can be disruptive. You know, we often see roadworks suddenly pop up everywhere. You know, your IT systems are renowned for going down. You know, obviously back everything up, people. Really good idea to back everything up. But in many ways, what the Mercury retrograde energy does is that it slows us down. It asks us to step away from this fast pace of life and to recognize that sometimes the universe wishes us to slow down, maybe to take a diversion, because there may be something we need to see en route. I like to think of, you know, the retrograde energy with Mercury as an opportunity for us to slow down and just in many ways align ourselves with the natural rhythms of life, as opposed to our human-centric perspectives where we tend to move in a straight line and tend to go very fast often as well these days. So we're also, wonderful friends, in the build-up to the next key point of intensity of 2021, when Saturn, who is a planet of, you know, Saturn restructures. He's associated with karma, and, you know, he's known as Father Time. He brings us some big life lessons. He is squaring up with Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener. They are actually going to come together. Let me bring this up on the screen for you. They are, here we go, they are going to come together. Oops, I seem to be having additional problems with images coming up on the screen behind that. But here we go. So the collective prayer of 2021, the first pivotal point was in February. The next pivotal point of real intensity between Saturn and Uranus, it takes place between June the 13th and the 17th. And we're already beginning, I think, to feel the build-up. A lot of the conversations I'm having, I'm finding people are experiencing an intensity of emotions, and the circumstances in their lives are sort of building up. You can see that they're fueling an emotional intensity. Now, this is a real breakthrough time. It can be a breakdown, but it can also be a breakthrough. And if we hold the higher energetic of the square between Saturn and Uranus, we hold that potential for breakthrough collectively for humanity. So it's a very powerful thing. And the collective prayer, we ask as many people to come together at 7 o'clock just for 1 minute of silent prayer. That's 1 minute during the duration of the intense period. And actually, by doing it at 7 o'clock in your own time zone, it means that that collective prayer, the holding of the light, literally circles the globe, which is pretty amazing. So let me move that image. Now, anyone that's new to my readings, and firstly, welcome everybody. Welcome back, anyone who's already a part of this amazing community. If you're new and you'd like to be in the subscriber draw, it is a subscriber offer. If you subscribe, press the little bell icon as well if you want to get notifications of any of my readings as I upload them. And if you then join our subscriber email list, the link is in the information box below and the comments. You'll also find timestamps. So if from the little thumbnail at the beginning of this reading on YouTube, if you already know which reading you've been drawn to, you can skip all of this stuff at the beginning and just go straight to the reading. I know some people like to really sit with me for the extra guidance, and some people like to sit with me as I draw the cards and the runes. We'll be doing that in just a moment, but if you do want to fast forward to the readings, to one or another or more than one, I know some people are drawn to more than one, you can find the timestamps there, so you literally can fast forward to the bit that's relevant to you. So, wonderful friends, without further ado, let's tune into the additional guidance and then we will draw cards and runes. So let's talk about carnelian. Carnelian is very dynamic in its energy. It's said to restore vitality, bring motivation. Personally, I find it also seems to me to bring resilience, durability. If I need to see something through to the finish line, I will carry carnelian with me. If I'm struggling with procrastination, I will bring carnelian. I'll sit with it. I'll carry a little piece in my pocket. It just seems to give us the energy we need to kind of overcome those moments when we falter. So durability, resilience, increased energy, vitality, motivation. It's very creative. It really stimulates creativity as well. So if you're really needing to I don't know, work your way through various choices, carnelian is amazing because it will give you a kind of creatively orientated thinking position as well. So that is the energy that's coming into reading number 1. Reading number 2, very different energy. We have selenite. Selenite gets its name from Selene, the moon goddess. Now, as you can probably see from these crystals here, I mean, selenite literally captures the light. So in the same way that as the moon journeys through her cycle, she gathers the light from the sun and she redistributes it. She reflects it back to the earth. She reflects it back to the earth in varying quantities and degrees. We have a super full moon eclipse coming up. I'll speak about that too in just a moment. But super full moon eclipse, it's a hugely dynamic time. But a full moon is the moon at her fullest. Now, selenite, it's like a battery charger, but it's a battery charger. You can actually put selenite in with your other crystals to sort of recharge them in the same way that you might put your crystals out under the full moon. Really, really lovely energy because she has a really healing quality. She really can gather light, hold the light, and then redistribute it where it's needed. So if you are working with light, you're working with energy, selenite will be a great ally for you. So we have something of a very healing, illuminating energy coming into reading number 2. So reading number 1, motivation, durability, resilience, restoring vitality. Reading number 2, very much a holding of the light, being illuminated, the pathway being illuminated, seeing the next step forwards. Literally receiving illumination is coming through very strongly for reading number 2. Seeing clearly. So if you're struggling, if you're feeling you're shrouded in fog, or you don't have a clarity about something, it may be that reading number 2 will speak to you. Reading number 3 is going to be governed by the energy of amethyst. Amethyst is known as a master healer. The amethyst points are stunning. They come, they form in a natural point like this, and it's a master healer. It's known to be a crystal of great power and great energy. It is said that it will connect you to spirit and to the divine. It helps to create that channel, that fluent channel, whereby in many ways you can then become the channel for the guidance you need. for me, it really enables empowerment, but empowerment through that connection with spirit. There's an inner strength, I think, that we gain from amethyst. It's almost like I feel like we see life through the lens of our heart and our soul when we work with amethyst, rather than through the mind, which can often get cluttered or be a little bit swayed by past experiences, by expectations, by ego stuff. Very difficult to keep a clear mind, actually. I think it's one of the big tasks of our growth and pathways as individual human beings. Amethyst sort of bypasses that, I think, and we begin to see through the lens of our heart and our soul, and we connect with our higher self and with spirit. So that's the kind of flavour that's around reading number 3. So I am in just a moment going to draw cards and runes. Before I do so, let us just touch base on this very powerful super full moon eclipse. It's in Sagittarius. I've actually done a whole set of readings, individual readings for individual signs that tune in to the energy of this super full moon eclipse. During eclipse season, when we are at the pivotal points, the new moon eclipses and the full moon eclipses, we're often offered extraordinary windows of opportunity to create change. Sometimes change happens, illuminations happen, we see things very clearly. There really are all sorts of potential windows of opportunity that happen during this pivotal time. As I said, I've done readings for every sign. I will try and put that set of readings, that video, right at the end. I posted them yesterday onto YouTube. They are live, and I'll try and put a link at the very end of this video of these readings so that you can find them if you wish to. And in that video, I've also spoken quite a lot about the nature of the full moon, how we use that for manifestation, the nature of eclipse season, how we use that in our manifestations. So there's quite a lot of information and guidance within that particular video, as well as readings for every sign. So let us now tune into the cards that we're going to draw today. So the first card we're going to draw from the first pack will be the Art of Manifestation cards, the Oracle cards. Now we're going to draw just one card for each of the readings here. I say one card from this pack. We're also going to draw from the Akashic Tarot. These are lovely, lovely cards. They really are absolutely fabulous. Very powerful messages, I find, with these cards. They really are a major bonus. Even if you only bring one into your entire reading, absolutely fabulous energy. Now we're going to draw from the Lightseers Tarot as well. We have 3. We're also going to draw from the Nordic Tarot as well. So we're using 3 different tarot packs today, and 2 sets of oracle cards and runes. So this is the Nordic Tarot, just one. We're then going to use an oracle pack. Now these are a Native American oracle pack. Very lovely messages. They're very concise, but very lovely messages. They do sometimes give a time indication, a time frame indication, which is very unusual because in many ways time frames are always quite challenging within readings, because I just think, in terms of communication with spirit, that there's no time-space continuum, really. I mean, time is our reference point. It's not necessarily relevant to spirit, to guides. Sometimes we do get really clear messages about taking action now, and that can happen. But as I said, it's unusual for cards to offer us time frames, and these, not always, not all of them, but some of them do. So we'll draw one of these as well. And then lastly, we will draw on our runes. I'm hearing one for each. Okay. So wonderful friends, this is the time when you can pause the video if you wish. You may already know, you may have known when I spoke about the extra guidance, you may have known just from looking at the thumbnail at the beginning of the video on YouTube, which reading or readings were speaking to you. You may also want to cross-watch for people. Sometimes people get a really powerful sort of feeling that one of the readings is relevant to a loved one, a partner, a potential partner, a family member, and they'll tune into that as well. Trust your intuition. Allow yourself to be shown whichever direction you need to be moving towards with these readings. And if needed, just pause the video for a short while and sit and listen. As I said, it can be one reading, it could sometimes be more than one. Some people even come back later in the week and a different reading is speaking to them at that point. I also do put all of these Sunday readings into a playlist, which means you can go back. If you go to our homepage, the AZ Emotional Health YouTube homepage, if you go to there and find the playlists, you can actually check in on that playlist, and there are, you know, loads and loads and loads of pick a card readings, because I upload every week, and so literally if ever you feel you need guidance randomly, just tune into that playlist and just find the reading, the set of readings, and then the individual reading that speaks to you and shouts to you the most. You know, there's a wealth of guidance there as and when you need it. Wonderful friends, I will see you in the readings. Namaste. Welcome to reading number 1. Let's have a look and see what our rune is. We have the energy, of course, of carnelian. So we have the blank rune. Now, the blank rune is very interesting. It's often like a space of gestation. It suggests that you are at a sort of a pivotal turning point. You've been building something or creating something or manifesting something, investing in something. It's almost like for me, a pregnancy. You know, when we arrive at the point of birth, I mean, a pregnancy is both, it's both an ending and a new beginning. So there's so much possibility in this rune. I always think it's the infinite source of possibility that lies in the unknowable future. So I'm going to place our rune. I'm going to place our rune here. I'm not quite sure how the cards are going to pan out yet in terms of how we lay them out, but let's see what we have. So you have the card Take a Leap. Lovely golden energy here, isn't there? We have 4 of Keys, clearing the way. We then have 3 of Cups, the Chariot, and 7 of Cups. I'm going to place our rune. Okay, this is very interesting. We then, in fact, I'm going to bring the rune down here. That feels quite nicely laid out, and we can really see where we're kind of heading with the cards here. So, what this reading is really suggesting is that something is holding you back from your dreams, some kind of a dream that you have had, something you really, really desire, something you want, something that you have been trying to manifest. It's like you've got it in your sights, okay? You can see it, coming. It's, you know, when you're heading towards something, literally you're driving down the road and the goal is in sight. You're moving that way, you know your desires are coming. This is really interesting because carnelian is speaking to us. For those of you that tuned into the guidance at the beginning, it gives you staying power, it gives you perseverance, it helps to unblock procrastination. It's an amazing crystal to carry. I must admit, I love the raw form of it. Really got some punch to it. In fact, I'm going to place the raw piece of carnelian just here. We've got the card of the Dreamcatcher here. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, patience. Clearing the way, 4 of Keys. Gosh, there's just so much buzzing in this reading. Really, you're being asked to take a leap. So let's start here. This card is an invitation to take a leap of faith. Sometimes, even when we desperately desire change, we procrastinate and we find all kinds of reasons as to why we should stay as we are. It is completely understandable to be anxious when stepping into the unknown. This card is calling you to trust and make that move. Take that leap. This is Carnelian giving you that renewed vitality, offering you strength, perseverance, clearing the way. Now this is interesting because Four of Keys sitting above the dream catcher. It's like your dream or something you've been manifesting, working on, wanting, it's in sight, it's around you, the energy of it is there, something that is needed is there for you, and yet there is a blockage. This is this sense of procrastination, or something is in the way. It may even be a deliberation around choices. Seven of Cups. Maybe historically you feel a bit like your experiences have sort of led you to feel that somehow every time you take a step forward, it's kind of, you know, when you feel like you're taking 3 steps forwards, you know, 1 step forwards, 3 steps back, I think, as the saying goes. But there's this feeling here of you really are, the Four of Keys basically says, take action. Take action. We've got take a leap and another card that says take action. Remove the obstacle that is in your path. It also says don't be too urgent or pushy or excitable about it. You know, there is a lot. If I show this card to you, I'm going to bring it right up to the camera. You can see there's a gigantic log. The dream home is in the distance. The light is there. The pathway is direct. It's clear. And yet there is an obstacle in the road. This beautifully tunes in with Mercury retrograde energy. There is the obstacle. It needs to be cleared. But, you know, the couple here, the man has an axe. He has the means to clear it. But it will require steady determination. If he goes to try and break down that axe, full pelt, he's going to run out of energy. So you are being called to take a leap, to trust, to step into a space of the unknown, to believe that this dream is possible. There's something that really is quite within your reach, or something that you're really wanting to step up and step into. If it's procrastination, work at that. I think there's quite a strong message that history is involved here, because the Seven of Cups speaks of, it's snakes and ladders, it's those decisions, and also the indecision that comes if we're fearful of making the wrong choice. It's kind of like, you know, will I make the wrong choice? Will it go wrong? You know, are my dreams going to go astray? So this reading is really, excuse me, this reading is really speaking to you about overcoming those blocks, trusting in your decision making. Take a risk. It feels to me as if a doorway is being opened for you. Now, very interesting, I said with these Native American cards that they sometimes come with time scales. Now, the Dreamcatcher card asks us to, it recognises that we can consciously sort of shift the nature of our dreams, because we can choose when we go to bed. We can consciously learn to work with our dreams. We can request dreams of guidance. We're not kind of, it's almost like we're not stuck in a dream of the past. We can always work with dreams. There are numerous ways to work with dreams. But it's interesting, the time scale with this dream, it actually says Wednesday. That's the guidance of these cards. It relates to a Wednesday. For me, this is really curious with the timing, because our full moon eclipse, our super full moon eclipse in Sagittarius is on Wednesday. It's on the 26th of May. It's on this coming Wednesday. I feel like there is an opportunity for you guys to lean into the energy of that full moon and create an absolute pivotal moment of shift, whereby you move towards your goals. You remove an obstacle. Something gets out of the way for you. I want to say as well, lean on your friends. The Three of Cups is both a card of celebration. It can sometimes in some packs indicate something like an engagement or a move forwards of something. It's a celebration, but it's all about receiving support. Allow yourself to receive support, celebrate where you are. There's something about, some of you, if you really feel like you've got a mental block, talk to a mate about it, call on your friends. But there is a this is a stepping stone on the route to your dreams or to the fulfillment of a dream. Yes, patience is required. Don't rush, don't be speedy, don't expend too much energy. Just steadily, it's like take a leap and steadily remove any obstacles. I actually think things are going to move forwards quite fast for you in this, I need to say. So I will just voice that. For me, you know, the dream catcher, especially at this moment of a super full moon eclipse, I mean, during eclipse season, things can happen quite quickly. Doorways of opportunity open for you. That's the blank rune. It's the infinite source of possibilities that sit in the unknowable future. Take a leap. You're at the moment at this sort of pregnant pause. You are being asked to take action, to move forwards. Don't be afraid of making a mistake. That there isn't going to be a wrong way here. And I think things are going to move forwards quite quickly. I actually think they're going to move forwards quite quickly and possibly very immediately around this super full moon eclipse this week. So anyone that is looking for additional guidance, do check out those extra readings. As I said, I'll put the link at the end of this video. Do check out those extra readings for every sign, because there's a lot of information there about this pivotal time of change and transformation. Carnelian, patience, durability, resilience, the staying power, overcoming procrastination. I mean, this stone really set the scene for this reading. But there is something for you guys in the uniqueness of your own individual circumstances that is requiring a pivotal shift. Requiring, wrong word maybe, you are being offered a pivotal moment of massive shift and change, which brings with it massive opportunities. And this opportunity isn't small. It's an opportunity that takes you towards the fulfillment of a significant dream. Don't hold back. Have patience. Take a risk. Lean on your friends if you need to. Complete the beginning of something. For some of you, there's a completion. I always think with the Three of Cups as well, it's kind of like if you have, I don't know, it's like if you were writing a book, for example, you've written the first chapter and you've got a bit stuck, you've got writer's block. Dive into the second chapter, just free fall into it. Don't be afraid of writing it, you know, doing it wrongly. Don't kick in with perfectionism. Free fall into it. Allow it to happen. Allow it to move forwards. Don't worry about making the same mistake. There will be choices ahead of you. That's what I'm also seeing. But don't be afraid of that. You can take charge of those choices. Help, support is available to you. Have patience. The way is going to become clear. But at this very pivotal point in time, I think a window of opportunity is available to you to literally release a major block that has previously been holding you back from a significant dream, whether that's a relationship, you know, of love, a business partnership, a friendship, a circumstance, you know, like maybe buying a house or getting a job or writing that book, whatever it is, real opportunity for you. And I think it ties in significantly with the energy, the pivotal energy of transformation around this super full moon eclipse in Sagittarius, where we can literally reconnect to hope, possibility, and, you know, newfound optimism. So very powerful time for these readings. And you know, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I am excited, actually. This reading is leaving me with a tingling and an excitement, and I need to say, actually, a massive sense of hope, optimism, and kind of like renewed faith in dreams, in your dreams. It's absolutely lovely. I'm sort of being shown it's almost like a new dawn, literally the rising of the sun, a new sun rising. I mean, every day is a new beginning, but there's something very significant about overcoming something that is actually going to set the pace moving forwards towards something that you really, really desire. Don't hold back. So much love to you. Namaste. Welcome to reading number 2, governed by the beautiful energy of Selene, Selenite, the moon goddess, illuminating, bringing illumination to us. So our rune is the rune of ice. Now the rune of ice is a rune of standstill. It suggests that something isn't moving forwards. I mean, sometimes it's completely right and proper. Sometimes this is literally asking you to stand still. But it can indicate that something is stuck, a kind of a stuckness, and we need to do something in order to bring on the thaw. On the other hand, as I said, sometimes it can invite you to just stand still for a moment. I'm going to leave the rune there and we'll see how the cards bring themselves out. Okay, so first card you have Stand Your Ground. And this is a very powerful card. This card brings a clear message, whether in pragmatic action or in holding firm to your own principles and to your own opinions. Whatever your situation, do not give way. This is not a time to back down. The time is right to hold your own and stand your ground. So there is something really important. Again, maybe you are being asked to stand still, or literally to stand. It is saying this, stand your ground. Now this is interesting. We have the Light of the World. We have 8 of Cups, 9 of Wands and 2 of Swords. We also have the card of Fate, the Wheel of Fortune. And then we have, from the Native American cards, we have the card of the Snake. Now the snake is about transformation. Snakes shed their skin. It's also about the continuation of life, being aligned with life's cycles. So let's just tune into this. There's like a paradoxical energy here. And I think that's where Selene, Selenite, the moon goddess, is coming in. It's almost as though you need something to be illuminated with clarity so that you can make some significant kind of choice of direction here in some way. So the Light of the World as a card. So we have Stand Your Ground. We then have the Light of the World. Really interesting, because the Light of the World basically says, look, your higher self, your soul is knocking at the door, and only you can let them in. It's almost as though there is guidance available to you. I'm going to bring that rune down here. Actually, that's where we're going to position it. It's as though there is guidance available to you. It's like your higher self, your soul, your connection to guide, spirit, they're knocking on the door, but only you can open it. So it's as though there's a doorway to move to a higher space of awareness, but you have to be able to open the door. No one else can open the door for you. I feel as though you're blinded by something. We have the 2 of Swords here. There's a conflict around you, and it is as if the conflict of a circumstance around you is blocking you from being able to see clearly. Now, whatever this choice, I think for some of you, the conflict around a choice, the decision you're having to make, or even simply the circumstances you're in, which mean you're not sure which direction to go in as such, you're going to have to leave something behind here. Something has to be left behind for you to be able to move forwards. I think the illumination, the clarity of thought that you seek is available to you. I'm going to do some energy shifting in this reading in a moment. I think the energy, the clarity is available to you, but you have to get still enough to be able to receive it. I think this rune is bringing us some really interesting messages. For starters, it is actually saying, stand still, stand your ground. Some of you feel as though you're being pushed into something. That's what I'm also hearing. You feel as though you're being pushed or forced into something, or somebody is dictating the pathway to you or for you. And I would say, if you find yourself trying to influence the pathway of someone else, I'd really venture to stand back from that. Stand still and look at why you're feeling the need to do that. Because your higher self is trying to speak to you here. There is a clarity for you. You do need to leave something behind. For some of you, it might be a thinking pattern or are trying to hold on to someone or something, and you're needing to let it go. You need to walk away. And it is creating a kind of there's quite a significant test. It's I always think with the Nine of Wands, it feels like a testing time, a final testing sometimes. It's like you come through something, you overcome something, you move beyond something. The Wheel of Fortune, it's a card in this pack of fate. Now, the Wheel of Fortune suggests that something is happening, and it's interesting because the energy of the snake also says, you know, actually life is always emerging. It's always evolving. We are growing. We have to, you know, shed a skin and move forwards. We have to move into our next phase of life. Now, we can do that with the support and guidance of spirit, with the support and guidance and the knowing and the wisdom of our soul, of our higher self, or we can resist that move forwards. We can resist that transformation. So it's interesting because I think in one way the Rune of Ice is saying stop, stand still. For those of you who feel as though someone is trying to maneuver you or direct you on your pathway, stop, stand still, evaluate. Your higher self knows exactly the route to take. For those of you that are not being maneuvered, you're being asked just to stand still anyway. Stand still and review. Check out your circumstances. There is a conflict or a decision around you, and a situation that feels perhaps a little bit stuck, or maybe even for some of you, as I said, maybe a bit trapped. But actually, there is a need to move forwards. There's a need to let go of something. It is time to emerge, to transform. It's time actually for you to grow and move into the next phase of your life. And it's an important phase. You know, a snake shedding its skin is huge. The snake card says, flow with life. It says, don't try to force it. Don't try to dictate how to change. The snake sheds its skin. It doesn't sort of decide, right, on Wednesday I'm going to shed my skin. The skin just sheds naturally. The snake outgrows it. If we try to resist the natural growth that takes place in life, if we are resistant, we create no ends of difficulty for ourselves. Or if we try to be too fixed on our pathway, which means we stop the universe from working with us. You know, bearing in mind we're in a Mercury retrograde shadow at the moment, moving into the full Mercury retrograde at the end of May for nearly a month. I mean, it's a good long time. You know, again, we need to move into that space of where we are operating through a much greater degree of reflection. So rather than, again, wanting to go from A to B and to take the exact pathway that we thought we were going to take, and then to be really resistant or experience it as a conflict if that doesn't work that way. Actually, we need to, you know, Mercury retrograde, I say we need, Mercury retrograde invites us to step back and to actually take a more meandering route, to flow with life, not to force something to happen, to allow it to emerge, but nevertheless to absolutely allow that to go with it. Something is shifting here, and it does feel as though there is quite a karmic element to this. We are again in the build-up to the squaring up of Saturn, Father Time, you know, the planet who brings us our karmic lessons and those karmic stepping stones, which can just be huge. You know, sometimes very tough actually, you know, the Saturn influence. But Saturn is bringing this energy and squaring up with Uranus, the great awakener. Uranus is the planet of sudden changes, of out-of-the-box thinking, of radical new directions. So I feel like you guys are in a space where you do need to pause and move into a space of transformation. It's almost as though you're shifting from one kind of space to another. I think the illumination of the super full moon eclipse will be very, very helpful in Sagittarius. That energy is helping you to shift to a space of renewed optimism, hope, finding that clarity of direction. So I want to, in one way, I want to keep the rune in its primary position upright as an opportunity to either stand your ground if you're being maneuvered, or to stand still and reflect. However, I want to also shift it simultaneously as we flow through the reading into a greater space of transformation. So it's very, very interesting. If I had a second rune, I would position it up here and I'd want to say, right, let's stand still. In fact, let's do that. Let's use something else to support us in this. I'm actually going to, excuse me for leaning across the reading, I'm just going to bring in a little crystal wand here. And the one I'm going to bring is, this is a piece of aventurine, green aventurine. Now, green aventurine is a nurturer, and I really want to bring in that lovely energy of nurture that says, stand still, just stop. When I work with green aventurine, I always feel like someone's wrapped a blanket around my shoulders and I'm being encouraged to sit still, to nurture, to reflect, and the way will be shown. So I think we'll use this to represent the rune of ice in its upright position, in its sense of nurture, and knowing, as I said, this is also nurturing your entitlement and right to do this your way as well. You are receiving guidance from your higher self, but you do need to open the door and make yourself available to receive that. So I'm going to move these cards along, and I'm going to shift this piece of the selenite again, because this is the illumination. Okay, so we bring in this illumination, opening the door to illumination. Stand your ground, don't be pushed into anything. Illumination, reflection, nurture. You're going to be leaving something behind in some way, shape or form. There is an element of testing here, and yes, there's difficulty in the decisions you're making, but actually that vision, that sight is available to you if you are able to lean into the nurture. There is, as I said, it does feel as though there's a karmic aspect to this pivotal phase of your journey. If we look at this reading as we are now, I'm now going to shift the rune of ice into a flowing position, which allows you to move this energy forward. So sit with this as we are. You have nurtured, you've stood still, you've reflected, you've received the message of the ice rune in its upright position, the standstill. You open yourself to receive the guidance, the higher guidance, the illumination, the connection to your higher self. You see what you need to leave behind. You understand the lessons. You literally say, do you know what? Okay, this has been quite challenging and conflicting, but I understand this is part of my journey at this moment. We then just sit with the energy as it is for you. We shift this rune. Ooh. I literally feel a movement within my physical body then. We shift this rune into a position of flow. The karmic lesson is learned. You can now process that and move beyond. You begin to shed your skin. You begin to flow with life. The ice melts. You flow with life. We're not forcing it. It may be that the ice needs to melt gradually, slowly, surely, but that allows a space, and for some of you it's like a space of recovery. That's what I'm seeing. Interestingly, the time scales, it's interesting that these Native American cards sometimes have timings with them, not all, and the timing on this is November, which is interesting. So you may find that whatever is taking place in your life at the moment, just mindful that actually the cards possibly aren't fully in view. Let me move them up so you can really see them clearly. Get that full positioning here for you. November, it may be that whatever you are processing, transforming, moving into, the shedding of the skin, again, allow it to unfold, allow this process. For some of you, maybe there is a grieving going on, maybe there's a process of loss, or one way or the other. Your higher self knows the process, knows the direction. Yes, it's testing, yes, it's causing you conflict, but it's time to allow that to begin to flow, to move forwards. There's a karmic lesson that is in here, a positioning of that card. It's very strong. And I feel that, if you are in a longer term process of shedding a skin and transforming into a new phase, for some of you, it does feel like a recovery from something. As you move forwards, I think you can look at several months of emergence where you arrive. By the time you get to November, I think your world will just be so utterly and completely different You know, we're heading for June now, so June, July, August, September, October, November. You know, we're moving through several months of evolution. You know, things I think are going to flow, and you will find that systematically your world transforms, builds. You know, I'm literally seeing something being built here, and a pathway forwards. I'm also seeing a river gathering momentum. So there's something about re-engaging with the flow of your life and your own direction. Don't be dictated to by others as well, especially. So, wonderful friends, whatever the circumstance that you're in, I really, really hear that there's been some significant challenge around you and a challenging decision or choice to make, or circumstances around you you feel have sort of pushed you into this position. But actually that time is shifting, changing. It's time to let your higher self in. The way will be shown to you. It's time to allow the flow to begin, and for some it's recovery, rebuilding, gathering momentum, for all of that to begin to take place. Wonderful friends, really, really big respect to you, because when we go through these karmic phases of change and these karmic lessons, they are huge and they're not always easy. So wonderful friends, this is the real stuff of the evolution of humanity as a whole, because when each of us contribute to our own evolution and our own growth, we actually then contribute to the collective the collective higher vibrational shift within humanity as a whole. So big, big, big respect to you guys. Huge thanks, huge love for the work you are doing. You know, this is the pathway of the spiritual warrior. So much love to you. Namaste. Welcome to reading number 3. We have the wonderful energy of amethyst, that master healing crystal that allows us to really become a channel for divine guidance, to see clearly, to be shown the way, but literally for us to become that channel. So let's have a look at our rune. We have, first of all, the rune of the warrior, the spiritual warrior. Now, this rune speaks of discernment, a need to be very clear, so quite precise. There is something about precision or clarity of thought, clarity of direction coming through in this reading already. We have the card that says take your time, slow down. If you are feeling under pressure, whether in response to a situation or the demands of another person, or from pressure that you are placing on yourself, this card asks you to slow down and take time to evaluate before reaching a conclusion, making a decision, or committing yourself. So there is a need to just, literally take your time. Now we have the card of birth. This is lovely. It is suggesting a time of new beginnings. It's a new start. So if you are starting a new venture, a creative project, a new relationship, anything that is happening that is new in your world at the moment, take your time. Don't be rushing into it. Let's just tune in again to that Mercury retrograde energy, where we are often shown diversions on our pathway, and actually, even though it may seem frustrating and we're not able to move forwards at the pace we wanted, actually we're being shown something. We're being asked to slow down because there's something we need to see en route that will make our pathway even clearer. So there's something of a new beginning around you. And again, maybe you are needing to be discerning in some aspect of your world. Now this is really interesting. We have Page of Pentacles, we have the Emperor, and we have the Hanged Man. This is full of possibility. This reading is speaking of possibility. It's speaking of kind of, for me, manifestation here. So what are you manifesting? What wishes? We have the card of wishes, and we have the card of the Elk as well. This is really interesting because I feel like this is a reading of promise. Okay, you're being asked to take your time to finalize some details. That's what's really coming through here. Finalize some details. Be clear about your direction. Don't rush in, and yet also continue on your pathway. Continue on the pathway that you're on. I think you're going to be given additional information to allow you to know how best to manifest. It's like the next step on your journey, the next step on your pathway of manifestation, the manifestation of your wishes. So I'm going to bring this warrior rune here because there's something about finding a clear direction, taking right action, and yet simultaneously you are being asked initially just to take your time. The star speaks of wishes. The Hanged Man for me is about being shown direction, shown clarity. The original story of, I guess, the history of the runes, the legend of the runes is that I think it was Odin was hanging upside down in a tree, and various twigs and stones and bones fell out beneath him and formed symbols, and he was given the information and the guidance that lets him know what those symbols meant. And so clarity of direction comes from those runes. We can see in this card of the Hanged Man, we have very much a female warrior energy here, hanging upside down, but below her we see a series of runes. So I think the direction is going to be made clear to you. In terms of whatever you're birthing, whatever you're bringing into the world, the card of the elk speaks of stamina. You know, it asks us to conserve our energy. It doesn't mean we stop. It doesn't mean conserve by stopping. It means conserve by being sensible and careful with our resources. Whether we are being, when I say conserve our resources, whether we're talking about finances, whether we're talking about our own personal energy, you're being asked to be thoughtful about how you use your energy. Pace yourself. Pace yourself. Take your time. Take your time. Pace yourself. Don't overdo it, and yet continue on your pathway. Be consistent. You are in the process of birthing something into the world, whether this is a relationship, a project, a new career pathway. The birth card is lovely because it really does speak of new beginnings, those new starts that are going to bring forth fruit. You know, it's almost like a fruit-bearing card. We're going to bring forth something, but we're at that early stage of it happening, of it emerging, of the idea taking shape. The Page of Wands is all about creation, and the Emperor, to me, he is a master manifester. You know, he's an amazing energy. I want to say for some of you, if you are in the early stages of a relationship, a partnership of some sort, whether this is a business partnership or an intimate partnership, I would like to say that the person that's coming into your world, I think they have a significant strength about them. For some of you, there is someone coming into your world who will actually be a significant contributor and help you to see the direction that you need to go in. For others, this is you. You are the manifester. You know what you want. Others, you're moving towards that time and space of manifestation. For some of you, you're not sure exactly which direction, what's your next step. And I think this reading is really encouraging you. It's saying every step will be shown to you as you move forwards. The right people are going to come into your life to help that pathway unfold. The rune of the warrior, this is got a very decisive energy about it. So this is all about moving something forwards, taking one step at a time, knowing that the way will be shown. It really is saying just slow down, evaluate, be careful, take decisions every step of the way. The way will be shown. Your wishes are going to come to fruition, but not in a hurried way. This is not going to happen overnight. This is a process that you are involved in. If we think about manifestation as being a cycle, and if we think about, let's say if we're working with the cycles of the moon, for example, given that we have this amazing super full moon eclipse in Sagittarius, every phase of the moon is connected to our ability to align with the natural flow of energy in manifestation, in evolution, in growth. Each cycle, it doesn't mean that we think of something at the new moon and by the time we get to the next new moon, da-da, there it is. It's almost as though we have to go through phases, cycle after cycle after cycle. Some of those moon cycles will allow us to let go of things that are in the way. Others will significantly move us forwards. Sometimes things will happen very quickly. Other times we are needing to pace ourselves. In the energy this week of the super full moon eclipse, I do feel you are being asked to slow down, and it's almost to allow this new beginning to birth itself. This new beginning, for some of you, it may even be around this super full moon eclipse that you suddenly find a spark of an idea or the clarity of a direction that you've been waiting for. Some idea is illuminated, something is shown to you. If we think about a process of birth, sometimes during the process of a birth, we have to push. Those of us who've had children, those of us women who've had children, we will know this. Sometimes you have to push, sometimes you have to breathe. And there's something about going with that natural flow. When you're breathing or you're relaxing, sometimes even during labour, you know, we fall asleep. There are periods when it's all happening and then periods when it all slows down. This is just the natural process of birthing something into the world. And there's something about that energy that surrounds you. It's full of positivity. It's full of significant potential. The Hanged Man says the way will be shown at each step. So if you need to pause and you're in the breathing space, you'll be shown when to push. You'll know when to push. This is all about your wishes emerging. And for some of you, if there is a new project, as I said, I'm seeing a relationship for some people, business partnership, it could be too. The elk speaks of the month of December. So whatever you are building, whatever you're birthing, it's going to emerge. It doesn't mean it's going to take till December to emerge, but I do think whatever emerges, it's then going to be built in stages. It's going to be this kind of energy, taking your time, being shown the way, easing off, reflecting, moving forwards again, taking your time. I think it's going to have that kind of rhythm to it. And indeed, whatever you are involved in your unique circumstances, try keeping a diary. For those of you that use the Art of Manifestation Astro Moon Diary, the cycles of the moon are in there, so you can, it's really all about you developing your own relationship with the moon. But, you know, keep a diary, make a note of the natural ebb and flow of the cycles of lunar energy, because you'll begin to know when you're going to naturally want to be pushing forwards, and also when you're going to naturally need to pause, take your time and slow down. Stop putting yourself under pressure. There's always an ebb and flow of energy that we align with within ourselves with the natural cycles of the moon. So do take time to make a note of how you feel at different times in the month, and then use that cycle as an ever-evolving spiral within your process of manifestation. I am seeing fruition in December, so and really a lot of magical support and guidance, but you do need to pace yourself with this, okay? So whatever you're engaging in, massive potential, massive opportunity, but don't always be pushing. Allow yourself to also be pushing sometimes, and at other times breathing. Pace yourself, and I think the world, the universe is going to deliver. This feels also very much as if you are on a guided pathway, and that the pathway is right for you. So whatever you are investing in, it feels very much as though this is the pathway that you are supposed to be on. It feels like this is a pathway to an aspect of your calling, an aspect of your, you could call it destiny, fate, journey, something of your karmic pathway. But one way or the other, I think it's really clear that you are on track. You just need to think about how you approach this overall process of manifestation. And yeah, use the full moon for pockets of insight, illumination. If you're working with a crystal like amethyst, to become the channel for that information. When you're working with the moon cycles, you'll find that there are certain phases in the moon when you will find that you are an easier channel for that information, a better channel for it. Wonderful friends, I feel rather excited for you. This feels as though, I think some of you are raring to go. Take your time. And as I said, I think not only is guidance coming, but I think for some of you, support is coming your way as well. Wonderful friends, so much love to you. Whatever you are birthing into the world, stick with it, take your time, conserve your energy, and learn to work with those natural rhythms and cycles so that you are manifesting at your absolute best. So much love. Namaste.